use lots of time to listen to music. And we need to learn music from those who plays music on the highest possible level. In my own practice and my own music, I realized more and more that practicing music and learning music is not only go practice. There are actually a lot of steps involved in the process. When I go practice and when I play music, I try to create the best possible development for myself. And of course I try to do the same for all of you watching these videos and checking out my Patreon channel. But sometimes this thought sneaks into my head. What am I actually doing and where does this lead to? This is why I try to come up with these concepts for myself. And a guideline is really great to follow when you know where to go and how to get there, and not have these thoughts getting lost in the labyrinth. Of course, the prime drive must be we need to be interested in music, and we perceive music by listening to it. Find your favorite albums, check them out, listen to the players. Find the absolute best players of the instrument and the music you like, and start listening to this. And of course, check out different social media channels with forums where you can ask questions and check out how you're doing this. People mostly love to talk about how they're doing stuff and give good advice. If you want to have quick access to answers from me, you can go to my Patreon channel, get into the free subscription. On all the levels of the subscription, I have a free chat. You can ask questions and I'll answer them as fast as possible, and you can gain knowledge from the community. Feel free to join in, it's free of charge. The next step I would do in my learning is to learn tunes. And again, the absolute best way to do this is start listening to tunes you like. Start listening and learning those tunes. Start really simple with tunes like Perdido, Take the A Train and Autumn Leaves. And of course it's a great idea to check out paperwork, so check out the sheet music too. But the most important thing is to listen to great versions of these tunes. Eva Cassidy here has a great version of Autumn Leaves. It melts my heart. Learn the themes and play beautiful melodies. I put reading music here as number 3, because reading music is possibly the fastest way to learn music. I'm not saying it's the best way to learn music, I'm saying it's the fastest way. It's the fastest way because there are so much written out music out there, and to acquire this knowledge you just need to read music and then you can acquire the knowledge. Of course you'll be able to read the themes of any tune you like because they're all out there. But you will also be able to decipher a lot of great solos transcribed, directly playing the solos of your heroes and learning their material. But there's a small matter in this, what Chris Potter says.
Making sure that I get it from my head, and I have to come up with the intervals, and I have to do the brain work of, that, then I really know it, and I can really move it around.
One thing is of course reading music, but for it to become really valuable to you in a jazz setting, in an improvised setting, you need to internalize it, you need to memorize it, you need to learn it by heart. This material needs to get into your fingers, it needs to get from your brain to your fingers, and that's just a physiologically thing. You cannot expect suddenly improvised music or jazz music to appear in your fingers just by reading it. You need to internalize it. The next 3 topics goes hand in hand. There's none of these topics that are earlier or later. There's none of them you need to learn before the other one. There's the technique. You need to understand how to get material into your fingers. Then there's the theoretical aspect. You need to know where to put the material when you're improvising, when you're playing jazz music. So the practiced material need to go into your tunes. And that's actually the third thing. Apply the material. How to apply it and how to make it your own. These 3 things goes hand in hand. But I have to start somewhere. Let's start with technique. We need a crazy good technical understanding and a technical level to execute improvised music, because it needs to be right there in your fingers, what Chris Potter said. We know that the scales are important, but we also need the arpeggios. These are 2 basic things you need in all keys, on all chords and all scales. But let's start easy. In the lesson manual PDF on Patreon, I've made lots of these exercises, technical exercises. But I really want you to apply it in 3 steps. So learn the technical exercise, apply it into your music, and then know how to use it and develop it. This is what's happening in the lesson manual. I'll go further and tell you more about it. The link is in the description.
None of these concepts that we hear are going to come all at once. And it's okay to really go slow. It's okay to really slow something down and be really honest with yourself about if you can't do something, let's really just get it down to the tempo that you can.
Joel Fram says we need to go slow because it's a brain thing. It's all physiological stuff. Our brain really needs to understand the material. We need to hear it, we need to learn it in our brains, but we also need to get it in our fingers. And our fingers are just super slow because you need to steer all these muscles. So the best way to train technique, go slow. When training technique, reading music comes in really handy because there's a lot of exercise written out there. The lesson manual on Patreon is one of the examples. Internalize it. It's very important to gain the knowledge in the form of know the material in your fingers. And the easiest form to gain the knowledge is reading it. But again, Chris Potter and Michael Brecker are actually saying something about this. You really need to learn the material by heart because you need to have it ready in your fingers. You need to work it out in your head. So we're moving into how can we use the material and how can we apply it into our tunes. So let's say we are practicing Take the A Train. How do you apply your technical exercise into Take the A Train? So you want to find the fitting material to the chords. And here our arpeggio and scale training comes really handy. And in the beginning, try to copy paste the material directly into the tune. Make the material fit the tune. It needs to be applicable into music. You have to think that when you're practicing technical stuff, you need to have a direct link into your music. Or the other way around, make up or find exercises that fit your music and then apply these to your tunes. In this way you are already practicing technical exercise that fits the tunes and then you just have to copy paste them in. Applying the material to the tunes, we're actually already doing this by following the 2 steps earlier. The technique and adding it roughly into our tunes.
I'm trying to use them as food, but not to sound like a solo, not to sound like an exercise. Like if I were playing the blues and all of a sudden went... Sounds really silly.
But what Mike Brecker says here, you should never sound like an exercise. So copy pasting exercises into tunes and playing them there is only the first step, it's only the beginning. You will need to integrate all these patterns you play, all these exercises you play, and make them your own. You need to fit your own material around the material you needed for the exercise. Add your full creativity into this process. Tweak the practiced exercises and make them your own and mix them with your own material. In the lesson manual PDF on Patreon, the most important thing this week is learning the technical exercises, adding them into the music and making them your own. I'm only focusing on this 3-step process in the whole lesson manual. Get the lesson manual on Patreon right here. There's so much more to becoming better at improvising or playing jazz music. And I think this video takes you through one of the most important things in jazz. Play music, have fun.